Hey there, this is Natalie, and it's time for day 4 of Higurashi When They Cry. I'm sorry it took a few days to get to this one. I was really busy over the last few days writing that massive ReZero Greedive video that I just put out. So wasn't really working on these. But now it's time to see day 4, which I've never seen before. Now you might notice that for this video, I am using the audio from the game rather than putting music over it. This is not necessarily going to sound great throughout the video because where I edit it down it will be choppy in places, but I kind of feel like where this is supposed to be a visual novel that uses the audio to create different moods and stuff, that missing out on that as we get further into the story and it starts to do more stuff like cutting out certain music at certain moments or playing creepy sound effects and things. I feel like you kind of need to be able to hear those rather than me just describing them as they come up. So we start a new day and looks like they're going to school, and it looks like we're going to see a PE class. And I guess where the class that Keiichi and the girls are in has kids of all different ages. The PE class is exceptionally disorganised. It says the only things they do together are the warm-ups at the start. And the teacher isn't even there after that. So I guess they just organise their own physical activity. Oh, and here we get Mion in her PE kit. And the lack of organisation makes Keiichi think that the Board of Education completely forgot about this school, because all they really do is just play around. The only rule is they have to stay on the school grounds, which, as we learnt from one of those tips, is actually some kind of building belonging to the Forestry Commission or something like that. Now they're going to decide what they're going to do for PE, and I'm guessing, given that they're this gaming society, they're probably going to come up with some kind of physical game. Now Mion, who is the leader of the group, has been tasked with coming up with what they should do for PE, and she wants them to do something involving explosive power and endurance. There are no friends in the world of sports. The only thing you can trust in is your own body. Keiichi says that she reads too much manga, but again, like I was saying with the card game, it does almost seem like Mion's kind of training all the other kids. We'll be taking a lesson from history. The tried and true king of all outdoor melee events. Let's play tag. It was quite an adorable choice to make after playing it up so much. And Satoko says that Keiichi should be the first to be it. Rika says that she won't be beaten. And again, Keiichi asks them why they're all so into it, but I think we can guess, having seen them play cards, that this is going to be another one of those things where they take it super seriously and yep, the third rule of our society, you must partake in the game, enjoying it without question. Keiichi being slower on the uptake than usual. Yes, of course this counts as a club activity. And Keiichi says they all seem pretty confident. I'm a man. Physically, I should be able to keep up with any girls my own age. Yeah, but you know they're gonna cheat. They look at him as if pitying him for his disadvantage. Yeah, they're gonna cheat. They know all the school grounds better than him. They've probably got all special hiding places and stuff. Anyone who was able to evade being tagged before the bell was the winner. But we didn't switch who was it. The ones who were tagged by it also became it. So the number of people who were it could increase exponentially. Well, I mean until it reaches 5, because that's how many people are playing. The end game would become a hellish siege. They call the version we're playing here zombie tag, you see. Anyone infected by a zombie turns into a zombie. And Rena's like, why do you make it sound so scary, I wonder? As soon as I catch Rena, I'm going to tear out her entrails while she's still alive. I guess that's Mion talking. And Rena says that that's gross. Rika-chan placed her hand on Rena's head as she panicked. Don't worry, before Keiichi gobbles you down, I'll eat you up gently. Ugh. Eee. Creepy girls. Rika, that isn't comforting at all. Now they talk about how they decide who the first zombie is. Oh god, there's a game to decide who's it in the game, so they're going to decide by doing questions because it's class time. Mion will ask the questions and the one who isn't able to answer is the zombie. So I guess Keiichi's gonna be expecting that he'll be able to win this since he has the best education of them all, having been to a proper school in Tokyo, but probably Mion's gonna ask something weird that he won't know. What does the Japanese word roku mean? I guess this has been translated, and what she actually asked in Japanese was what an English word means, because it seems a bit strange that he would find it hard to answer. What's roku in English? It's 6. How about katsushita? I don't know. Socks. And I just learned something from this visual novel. What's the third last letter in the alphabet? So that's an English question, I guess. Rika answers that it's the X. What does seibetsu mean? Satoko says of course I know what that is. But I'm guessing she doesn't. She cut herself off before finishing the answer. I see, it's quite a lewd question. Nice. You're an adult, aren't you? Of course you know what it is, right? Well, I am, but I don't know what it is. Now Mion's trying to bait her into saying it, and Rena thinks it's cute how flustered she is, and is reminded not to take her home because it's a crime. Keiichi says if I didn't nip it in the bud, she really might have tried to take her home. What happens when Rena takes you home? I'm sure there must be some meaning to that. It can't just be a running joke, because this is Higurashi, you know. Satoko's stammering because she's so flustered by saying whatever that word was in English. What does that mean? Rika appears and says that means a person, thing, idea, action or event which has been previously indicated in context. Satoko's like, what? Maybe you have to speak Japanese to get this bit. All of us were a bit surprised by Rika-chan's unexpected answer. I see. Well, it certainly is what that means. That could have been awkward. I wonder what I would have done in Satoko's position. I'd probably get ticked off and just blurt out, you know what, at the top of my lungs. You're kids in a playground, I mean, what could possibly be too filthy for you people to say? And Keiichi says, thank goodness you were born a girl, talking about Mion. If you were a boy, you'd probably be a perverted arsehole. So Satoko's the zombie because Mion managed to beat her in the question asking thing. So she's got to count to 100. Oh, but Mion says that some jerks skip numbers while counting to 100, so you can start chasing after you solve this problem. Oh no, it was actually Keiichi that said that. Sometimes it's hard to tell who's saying what line, except for when it's Rena because her way of speaking's really distinctive. So she says give her a simple one, okay? 1/5 of a cake, 1/6 of a cake, and 1/7 of a cake are all on a plate. There are no common denominators. Satoko grabbed a stick in panic and began drawing a cake in fractions on the ground. If Satoko, who can eat one cake in 60 seconds, eats all of them, how many cakes are left on the ground, on the plate? Well, none. Just as I finished giving the word problem, Mion shouted, ready, go. We got some nice action music now. And everybody scattered. Rena says that wasn't a problem at all, was it? Satoko had already lost the moment she started working it out. She's eating it all, so of course there's nothing left on the plate. Yeah, I got it. Can't outwit me, Keiichi. Everyone dashed off in a direction they thought was best. Knowing the lay of the land, they probably headed right to the best spots. At a time like this, it would have been more effective to go along with those trained in survival skills, like Mion, for example. The fact that I didn't realise it at the start of the game probably hurt my chances. Glancing back over the school grounds, I saw Satoko just rising up to start. She was really mad. For the time being, I caught my breath and focused on what I was trained to think during club activities yesterday. See, yeah, it's like Mion's training them all up for something. So he starts to think about what Satoko's likely to want to do. Increasing my numbers would be the shortcut to victory, then going after the weakest player first is the obvious plan of attack. And he realises that he would be the weakest player. So that's who Satoko appears to be looking for, or at least she's speaking out loud about how she's looking for him, which might mean that she's actually doing something else. What would be the best method to track him down? Footprints or smell, or maybe some type of trail? But I was no detective. Would I even be able to do that kind of thing in an amateur game like this? Satoko's asking other kids where Keiichi went. So his trail is not his footprints, but the other kids who've seen him. Do zombies hunt their prey by asking nicely where they went? Tomiktake and Okamura-kun pointed to the location where I was hiding. So now he's realised that it isn't easy to hide with all these other kids playing in different ways. So he's realised that to confront this intelligence-gathering zombie, he'd just counter it in a similar vein. So I guess he's going to use the other kids to misdirect Satoko. I approach some girls playing with a ball. He asks her to tell Satoko that her parents are at the gate. He also gives them a message to take to Mion, and he tells her to go to the gate as well. If things went well, then Satoko and Mion would run into each other at the gate. It would put me at a disadvantage if more people were it, but this was Mion we were talking about. She'd figure out a way to escape. He'd only bought himself a small amount of time, and it might even come back to bite him. Once it became apparent he'd started spreading false information through the messengers, he could end up being the recipient of one of those messages. She would ask the messengers to help her look for him. That would mean there would be more zombies than participants in the game. The virus that was brought about by my mischief would cause an epidemic. This tactic might backfire horribly. While trembling at the thought of the impending dawn of the dead, I began searching for a safe house. I found a shed by the incinerator behind the school. Why does your school have an incinerator? I guess because it's some kind of forestry place, but seems weird. My school didn't have an incinerator. So he's gone on the roof. It was getting rowdy down there. The lower grades were running around. Couldn't find Mobara-san. They've been given the message that his dad is at the front gate. It was definitely a lie. The word gate, the same one I'd used, gave a hint of revenge, so Mion was behind this. I was still keeping one step ahead of the game. So he's going to leave the little kids to search until the bell, and he's just planning to hide out on top of the roof of an incinerator. Now they're saying his mum got really sick. His house caught fire. A jumbo jet fell on top of the Mobara residence. The police have come to question him. I wonder if any of these things are like foreshadowing. Is his house going to catch fire? Are the police going to come to question him? I can't really see a jumbo jet falling on top of his house. I mean, this isn't Breaking Bad, but they say he enjoys peeping into bathrooms. And now they're talking about how he's stealing panties. So I guess they've realised he's not going to come out because they lie about him having a message at the gate. But now girls have started spreading scandalous rumours about Keiichi wearing panties on his head and smelling them and stuff to try and lure him down. Oh, Mion said that she was a victim. Of course he realises this is Mion's tactic to flush him out, but Small kids don't think about things logically. To them, all of those things were true, so they all chuckled together while looking for me. And now he thinks he's won. Wiping unrelenting tears away, I felt intoxicated by my own victory. That feels a bit dramatic. Did you hear? I heard that the new transfer student Maibara-san is a really perverted person. And now he's realised that Rena and Rika are passing down below him. And they're talking about how Mion has become it. I mean, they're probably lying. These kids are always cheating. Keiichi is like, it couldn't be. She'd become it because of my little strategy. Satoko is searching around the pipes, so we should be safe here for a while. I think they're actually it because they're giving way too much information right where Keiichi can listen to them. While Rena was slumped on the ground breathing heavily, Rika-chan had started creeping up to her. Rika-chan doesn't normally make noise when she walks, but it's strange. It couldn't be. Yeah, Rika-chan's a zombie. I've never seen Rika-chan smile so creepily before. And Rena seems to have figured it out, that Rika's a zombie. She's like, don't be scared. I'll be sure to eat you gently. So it's all described like it's super dramatic and real, you know, like Rena was pressed against the wall and Rika-chan lurched forward with both arms out, just like a zombie. Rena quaked with her back pushed up against the wall. It was quite a surreal scene of horror. And now Rena's noticed Keiichi watching from the roof, and she's like, save me. But now zombie Rika has turned her attention away from Rena, and now Mion's on the scene, so he's completely surrounded. But as long as, if Mion, Satoko and Rika are already zombies, as long as they get Rena, he'll still be the last one to be bitten. So I guess he still wins even if he doesn't make it to the break. Or none of them win. So now Rika, Mion and Satoko seem to have lost interest in Rena and they want to get Keiichi first. I wonder how Keiichi-san's guts taste. And they're messing around in character. Keiichi, I want you to become one of us. And it seems like Rena's run away using this opportunity, leaving him for dead. I leapt off the roof in fear, slipping as I landed. Satoko and Rika jumped on top of me, and after straddling me, they tickled me all over my body. And now they all want to get to Rena before the bell. I understood how vengeful ghosts with lingering regrets felt. Rika says, it's sad, so sad. But Keiichi is one of us now. It was a strange feeling being welcomed over to the side that had pursued me. Zombie tag is quite profound. To devour Rena, I, who had been turned into a demon of vengeance, needed to use any means necessary. Except I wasn't just a zombie. I was a master of the night, a vampire. Using the same trick that had tightened the noose around my own neck, I used my classmates to further my evil designs. So now he's getting all of the lower grades from around the school grounds to look for Rena. They're asking him if it's a bigger problem than a jumbo jet crashing into his family's house, reminding him just how much it had escalated. He's like, yeah, it's not even in the same league as jumbo jets. What fell on Rena's house was a space colony. Man, kids are dumb. Everything in a 100-kilometer radius was obliterated. But that's only the prelude to this tragic tale. This is the beginning, the start of a war for independence by the propaganda palette of Zeon. And now he's just spinning some nonsense. But the kids are loving it. Only one person can defeat the Red Comet. That person is Rena Ryugu. It seemed I made them fully understand that the fight for Earth was lost without Rena. So he's got the kids all hyped up. But will they find Rena before the bell? One kid's like, but I thought even the Terran Federation's impulse wave diffusal cannon didn't work on the Comet Empire. So he's just bullshitting some more. Of course, Rena knows their weak point all too well. Ryugu-san is amazing. And so that last little dork has also gone off to look for Rena. It does seem like there are some promising up-and-comers among the youngsters. Mion watching this is like, little Kei-chan's abilities, this old man knows them better now. And Mion is happy and impressed with Keiichi for getting all of the kids to do his bidding. Rika's saying, I was thinking that Keiichi would have been a better nominee for the initial zombie. Rena was finally cornered in the back of the sports equipment shed. You're all scary. Keiichi can too. So scary. It probably was scary being chased around by the entire student body. Especially when you got them all hyped thinking there's going to be some intergalactic war. All the lower grades closed in on Rena saying she was the only one who could save the world. What are you all saying? I can't control a mech. So now Keiichi confronts her for leaving him for dead. She says she didn't have a choice. Do not resist, let yourself be devoured. And Rika says, let's all be together. So they'll all be on the zombie side, but I don't know, there's just something creepy about that. I don't know why. People have told me to keep an eye on Rika, but she creeps me out anyway. No one can be that quiet and low-key about things without just being full of things that are going to mean something different later on in the story, I think. She doesn't say a lot, but when she does talk, that kind of cute, angelic way that she has, there's something to her, right? Rena had stumbled onto a mat, trembling with tears in her eyes. I closed in. Associating this situation with a similar, particularly immoral one made my pulse quicken just a little bit. Satoko and Rika-chan were both wiggling their fingers. They probably wanted to tickle Rena. Rena, wanting no part of what she knew was about to happen, went stiff with fear. And Rena pleads with him, saying he wouldn't do mean things like everyone else. Oh, and knowing that she's about to get eaten, she says, okay, so long as it's Keiichi-kun. The face she made as she resigned herself to her fate made my heart skip a beat. I believe that Keiichi-kun won't do horrible things to me, and now he can't bring himself to actually do it. I guess they're supposed to tickle the people that they catch, but his sense of reason chimed in and the beast inside him died instantly. Rena was too cute, couldn't do it, couldn't tickle her, and she won. Rena pranced around merrily as if a curse had been broken. Hey, so daylight broke in the nick of time and the evil zombie army disintegrated into dust. And so the heroine survived. Well, that's how it goes in the movies anyway. And Satoko's just annoyed that Keiichi wouldn't go in for the kill at the end. Rika says punishment is required. And now he gets tickled again. Taking the punishment, I guess, instead of Rena. The award for surviving goes to Rena, Ryugu, and Mion's Sonozaki. So Mion was never actually a zombie, she was just pretending that she was, so that they wouldn't attack her. Only pretended to be one. They say you need to deceive your allies before you can deceive the enemy, you know. Cheating little bastards. Mion was an imposter all along. Having had my fill of being terrified to my very core by club activities, I solemnly swore I would have Mion crying for mercy next time. I'm really hoping there aren't too many more of these club activities. I mean, that was kind of entertaining, but where's the horror and the murder? Come on. Come on, Higurashi. Stop holding out on me. Okay, so now we've got the after school stuff, and it seems like in the past 3 days that I've recorded, the second part of the day has been the part where there starts to be some interesting stuff. I really don't know what the purpose of the zombie tag game was in the story, whether it's I feel like with the card game and the lunch that they had at the shrine and all that, we got enough introduction to the character dynamics and all of that, so Now I'm starting to feel like, is there more of a point to there being even more of this kind of slice of life phase? Or maybe, that's just the pacing of this thing is perhaps a little bit slower than... I'm quite revved up to see more stuff about the murder. So, okay, I had agreed to meet with Rena to dig Colonel Sanders out of the mountain of treasure from before. So we're going to go back to the dam construction site. And he's going to take work gloves, towels, stuff from the shed. His mum's asking him why he wants all this stuff. And he answers that he's going to do a bit of excavating so his classmate doesn't become a criminal, because he thinks that if they don't manage to get Colonel Sanders out before more trash comes to bury him, Rena will go and steal the Colonel Sanders from outside of the KFC in the town. How has this little town in Japan got a KFC in 1983? I live in a major European city and we only got a KFC in 2019. Oh, Tomiktake-san is here. Probably taking pictures of wild birds again with that precious camera of his. It couldn't be that all he took pictures of was handsome young men in the twilight. Long time no see, Keiichi-kun, right? I'd been assuming these days all happen consecutively by the ongoing quest to dig up Colonel Sanders, so it seems kind of odd that he says long time no see when he hasn't seen him for 2 days, but maybe Tomiktake-san is just weird. I expelled the rude imagery from my head and greeted him without inciting anything. By the way, was that girl an acquaintance of yours? He was probably talking about Rena. What was all that about? So it looks like Tomiktake-san encountered Rena on her way to the dam construction site and got creeped out by the fact she was walking around with an axe and laughing. Now one of my cats is messing around with stuff on my desk, so if you hear anything strange in this recording, it's not the visual novel, it's just a fluffy cat being in the way. I hid myself because I thought it might be dangerous. Should I call the cops to be safe? Well, it certainly would be quite the spectacle for a girl her age to be roaming around with an axe. Tomiktake-san's reaction was the epitome of logical. Keiichi says just leave her be, she's just wandering around looking for more victims. And I guess that wasn't a very good joke to make, because Tomiktake-san is alarmed. It's hard for normal people to understand Rena. Says he'll just toss a bunch of BS out there. If you were to be killed out here, she'd probably be the one to do it. Try not to snoop around too much. With a condescending smirk, I started off in the direction of the dam site where Rena was waiting. But before I got too far, Tomiktake-san abruptly called out to me. Keiichi-kun, is that meant to be a warning for an outsider like me? Keiichi is a bit perplexed as to why Tomiktake-san is acting like what he said was serious when he was clearly joking, and he tried to make it obvious that he was. But then Tomiktake, I guess, notices his reaction is like laughing, saying, I'll try my best to be careful. I didn't really mean to call him an outsider. I wasn't really implying anything when I said that. It was only meant to be a joke, but I felt like I'd said something bad. Yeah. I mean, Keiichi's an outsider too. But I get the feeling that just like Rika said in the zombie tag game, in time he will become one of them. And now we reach Rena at the dam construction site. And looking at her there with the axe, Keiichi concedes that he understood why Tomiktake was unnerved by the sight of her carrying it around in the open like that. Everyone in Hinamizawa probably already knew about Rena's eccentricities. She's probably the only person who could carry an axe around Hinamizawa and not be considered suspicious. I mean, they do have like a forestry place, so I would assume they have like lumberjack type guys or something who could probably carry an axe, but... So now he's got everything he needs and he's going to start digging out Colonel Sanders. Just wait, Colonel Sanders. Keiichi-kun will save you. A solid thwack rang out through Hinamizawa as if the job were being done by a lumberjack. And he says he has plenty of power today, he can do it. But this adversary was more formidable than I expected. First of all, I'd never used an axe before. During a school camping trip, I had wanted to split the wood, but I lost at rock, paper, scissors and wasn't able to do it. He becomes tired while trying to break the wood. Rena had already spread out a tarp and laid down some tea and sweets. But he's almost there. I'll make sure Rena can give Colonel Sanders a goodnight kiss tonight. I mean, probably wash him first. Come to think of it, Rena, you're a transfer student too, right? Where did you live before? This is because the other day when he asked her about what had happened in the village, she said she'd only lived there for a year. Before she said that he thought she'd lived there all her life. And she says in Kanto, it wasn't as rural as it is out here, but it was still out in the countryside. Why did you move here? But she responds by asking, why did you move here? Does it have to do with your dad's work? He said, Dad said he wanted to move out to a studio. He'd been saying for a while that somewhere deep in the mountains like this would be perfect. And she starts asking him about his dad's work. He says twice a year he opens a gallery for the stuff he does. He's determined to have his works displayed in the Waterfront International Exhibition Hall. And Rena says she wants to see them. And he says he's too embarrassed to tell her that he doesn't really know what kind of pictures his father painted. Why doesn't Keiichi know what kind of pictures his father paints? I mean, it doesn't sound like he paints anything lewd or strange. You know, the other day he was making a piece where the theme was in the household. Is Keiichi not allowed in the rest of the house where his father does his painting? But you transferred in the middle of the semester, didn't you? Wasn't that a hassle? Not really, I was getting bored of the city anyway. I was trying to get answers from Rena, but I ended up being the one giving out all the answers. Yeah, it's a bit weird the way she just turned the question right around to him. She did say she was from the Kanto region, but that didn't really answer anything. With a bit of a wry smile on my face, I grabbed the handle of the axe and headed back to worksite. Oh, and now the music stopped and we've just got the Higurashi sound. The air grew colder as the sun slowly set. The Higurashi began their song as if to tell me to stop and head home for the day. Just a bit more. Today I would end it. When I first started, I chatted with Rena as I worked, but now I didn't have that luxury. And using the axe is reminding him of the things he read. The assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and pickaxes. One hit with something like this would smash someone's head in. Axes and pickaxes are not meant to be swung at people, ever. With one last swing, the beam cracked apart. The weight I put behind the axe not only split through the beam but smashed the statue's shoulder as well. Oh no! The arm came off with a sickening sound. It clattered down noisily, stopping at my feet. So just like that body that was dismembered, Colonel Sanders' arm has now been detached, and now he has to explain to Rena that he broke off Kenta-kun's arm in the process of getting him out. She's relieved that Keiichi-kun wasn't hurt. We just need to tape it back on and put a coat over him. Nobody will even notice. So she's not too upset about the arm. But naturally this incident has reminded Keiichi of what he heard. Seems they haven't been able to find one of the arms, you see. I laughed dryly at how pathetic I was for considering the arm flopping down and rolling to my feet to be such a bad omen. I don't think that's pathetic. Both Rena and Mion knew how sickening that incident was, so they pretended that they didn't know. I'd looked it up all by myself, and shamefully enough, I was scared. He calls himself pathetic, and then, with Rena's help, gets ready to haul out the Colonel Sanders. And now Rena's delighted because Kenta-kun is finally free from the pile of garbage. That moment of 2 days' work bearing fruit. He who was brought to Hinamizawa covered in filth to meet his end, instead we were able to welcome him back. You're pretty lucky, Colonel Sanders. Your new master is a pretty decent person. I don't know, is she? Is she a decent person? We don't know. What does she even want to do with Colonel Sanders? She nuzzles him cheerfully with her cheek. It didn't matter that he was dirty. And Rena says she wants to thank Keiichi and she won't forget this. And he says, think real hard about what you'll do to repay me, okay? And that's got her thinking about repayment. We rolled the statue up in the tarp and lifted him. Yeah, that's not going to look at all like you're carrying a dead body around. And so Jack and Jill went down the hill carrying a human-sized bag and an unsheathed axe. I prayed that we wouldn't run into Tomiktake-san. If he saw us here and took a picture, we'll need to get rid of him. Lol. And he thinks back to what Tomitake said earlier. Is that meant to be a warning for an outsider like me? Something struck me as odd about the words Tomitake-san, unable to grasp my sense of humour, had left behind. And that seems to be the thought that we end the scene on. Okay, and as usual, at the end of the day, we got new tips. These so far, I think, are the most interesting things that we're getting. Because we're still very early in the story and got the creepy music on the tip screen. But this tip is called, What Kind of Name is Rena? There's only one for this for day 4. There were 2 for all the others. And this is another school scene. Rika's looking for Rena. Mion's there too. She doesn't know where Rena's gone either. I guess she's gone to the bathroom. She did say that she's been having bowel troubles lately. Keiichi says, I hadn't heard anything about that. Yeah, why would she be telling you? And Satoko, they ask her where Rena went. She just passed her in the hallway. She has class duties today, so she's off to water the flower bed. With them all saying Rena's name, Keiichi suddenly thinks, it's rude to say this about someone's name, but it was a weird name. It was like some foreigner's name. What kind of name is Rena, I wonder? What kind of kanji does her name use? It's kind of weird that he's never seen her name written down. Ah, Rika tells us Rena is her nickname. She has a proper name as well. I was sure that Rena Ryugu was her real name. She even signs her name as Rena. It's like it's her real name in school. I wonder what her real name is. Let's ask her when she comes back. Satoko and Rika-chan looked at each other. You don't need to ask her. We'll tell you what it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously they know. It's the Rei from Ore and the Na from Nara. Her real name is Reina Ryugu. Reina, is it? That's how I've been pronouncing it anyway. Okay. So it's read out as, I guess, Rena instead of Reina. That's a pretty interesting reading. No, that's not it. Reina is the correct way. Rena had told us that she wanted us to call her Rena. So we call her Rena. Kei-chan. Rena is Rena, you know? Only strangers call her Reina. You get where this is going? I understood what Mion was saying. Good, because I don't. It didn't matter what her real name was, only what names we used between us. Reina Ryugu is Reina, she's nobody other than that. So I was thinking, if I had a nickname, would you call me by that? Mion replies, if it's good. So what do you want to be called? Con Man. Rena then came back into the classroom. One of the juniors near the door told Rena people were looking for her. Mion now calls him Conman, saying, "Conman, you're quite sinister." Rena gets upset. Keiichi-kun and Mi-chan are evil bailiffs? A conman? Damn you, Rena no Suke Ryugu. Today doth be when thou meetest thy maker. Suke-san, Kaku-san, show them what for. And now they have a fight. Have to say I don't really understand the stuff with the names. And maybe it's a reference to something or something to do with the way that the names are in Japanese that doesn't really work in the translation. I'm not really sure. Rena's fierce punches exploded in the proper timing to take out the seal. The evil that was Mion and myself was vanquished in the end. I do hope that Rena does go on a journey to make the world a better place. So that was their break time. Okay, so that was a bit less revealing than some of the other tip scenes we've had. Just really another shenanigans scene. But yeah, that was the end of day 4 and the tip. I really don't know what to expect from day 5. I mean, the Colonel Sanders thing has been basically wrapped up now. They've taken him home. There is that festival they were talking about at the shrine that I think from, things I've vaguely seen related to this series that that's fairly early on in the story, so maybe we'll be seeing that soon. But other than that, I don't really feel like this chapter added an awful lot to the story so far, other than the fact they dug up Kenta-kun, which has been the ongoing mission they've had for the last couple of days. I don't really think anything all that important happened. We got a bit more of Tomiktake feeling like an outsider in this place, maybe not really getting the kind of the dark jokes that Keiichi makes, which it seems like they would be obviously jokes, but maybe there are rumours about this village or legends about this place that Tomiktake is aware of that make him take them a little bit differently. We'll see. I think actually that once I've edited this one, I'll get straight onto playing the next day, because I feel a bit unsatisfied by this one. I feel like I want a bit more progression in the story, so I might go straight on to playing the next one. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again pretty soon for day 5.